Hey everybody, it's time for another Mini Mondays, and today I'm going to be talking about Last Order Final Fantasy VII, which is going to keep in line with my final February month. So this is an OVA that was released in 2005 along with the Japanese special edition of Final Fantasy VII Advent Children, and basically it just covers the events that happened before Final Fantasy VII, a part of Crisis Core, and some of Before Crisis. If you know Final Fantasy VII, you know what part of the story I'm talking about. So it's the part where Sephiroth goes crazy and burns down Nibelheim and meets Jenova, and also the part where Zack is escaping from Nibelheim with Cloud, who is in a comatose state from Mako poisoning, all that stuff. So basically it's the lead up to the end of Crisis Core, the video game for PSP. Anyway, what do I think about this? So, it's really good, but also at the same time, I don't really like it. Like, quality-wise, I have no problem with it. It was done by Madhouse, which, again, one of my favorite anime companies, so I really like the way it looks. The way it is, though, I can't say I really enjoy that, and what I mean by that is, I don't really like the way the events play out in this version. Now, to be fair, I played Crisis Core first, and yes, Last Order did come out 3 years before Crisis Core, but the Crisis Core version of the events was more close to the original Final Fantasy VII version of the events, and since I love the story of Final Fantasy VII so much, I like the one that stays closer to the original, and I'm not saying you can't take liberties with this art form, I just feel like the changes they made, they didn't really have to make. You know, it was kind of fine the way it was. But yeah, animation-wise, it looks good. The soundtrack, I think, is also good. They utilized a lot of the soundtrack from this one, from Last Order, into Crisis Core, so any of you who played Crisis Core, you might sound a little bit familiar. But the thing is that there's this one part in it that really bothers me, and it's basically just before the end. It has this big lineup of Turks, who are members of the Shinra company who do sort of like the dirty jobs. And basically, I have no idea who any of them are except for Reno and Elena. I don't even know why Elena's there, to be honest, but anyway. I don't know who they are, and it bugs me because, you know, I love Final Fantasy VII. I love it. I paid attention to the story. I know who all the characters are. I don't know who these guys are. I think they're from Before Crisis, which I've never played because it was a Japanese-only mobile game. And it's like, well, yeah, what the fuck? Who are these people? What do they have to do with the story? And it doesn't tell anybody who they are, what their names are, what they're doing there, and they don't appear again, because it's near the end of the story. And I know that sounds like a small complaint, but it really bugs me every time I watch it. So, if you're a Final Fantasy VII fan, I would say check it out. It's part of the story, but I think you can get the same story, but better in Crisis Core. So, if you haven't played Crisis Core, go play Crisis Core. But yeah, if you gotta see everything Final Fantasy VII related, definitely check out Last Order. It's not all that hard to find. And that's all I have to say about that.